Aloha everyone, my name is Hyram and welcome to Clean Academy. I am so excited to be a part of Clean Academy. In this Clean Academy video, I want to talk about what an ingredient list does and doesn't tell you. Because even if you're able to read every ingredient on an ingredient list, that doesn't mean it reveals everything about the product. There's so much more going on there. While an ingredient list can sometimes look like gibberish and sometimes be a little overwhelming, it does give a good amount of information to help guide us in purchasing a product, but doesn't tell us everything about a product. And it's important to know what it does tell you and what it doesn't tell you so that you're not misinformed. So here's what an ingredient list does tell you. An ingredient list will obviously show you specific ingredients, which can be really helpful in determining which ingredients you want to avoid and which ingredients you want to look for. Some people have sensitivity to certain types of ingredients. I have a sensitivity to high concentrations of denatured alcohol, and being able to read that on a list helps me know not to buy that product. But one ingredient I love is squalane, which is fortunately featured in all of the BIOSSANCE products. But even as you look at this ingredient list, which is the squalane and vitamin C dark spot correcting serum, you can find that squalane is at the top of the ingredient list, which shows that this is a good product for me. Reading specific ingredients will also help you gauge whether you want a more fully loaded, packed product or a more minimalistic product. Some products only have a few ingredients. For example, like the 100% squalane oil, it only has one ingredient. So if you're someone who has really sensitive skin or you just want a minimalistic routine, that would be a good product for you. But if you are someone, kind of like me, who loves skincare products that have a bunch of really beneficial ingredients, finding those specific ones will help you load up on as many ingredients as possible. And of course, reading ingredient lists will help you avoid any ingredient that could cause an unnecessary reaction in your skin. A list also does tell you the relative amount of ingredients in the formula. Let's look at the ingredients of the squalane and vitamin C dark spot serum. It's a new product from BIOSSANCE. Awesome ingredient list. Is fragrance free. It has different forms of vitamin C to help fade dark spots as well as mushroom to soothe sensitivity and irritation. Any ingredient above 1% is required to be chronologically listed. So whatever is at the top of any ingredient list will be most present, and whatever at the bottom of an ingredient list will be least present. Above 1%, that is. That's a myth that I commonly see. Any ingredient under 1% can technically be listed in any order, and that's actually one of the myths that I commonly see in the industry. And if you do want to learn more about common ingredient list myths, go watch my video on my YouTube channel. I talk more in detail about different myths. I'm busting all of them. The reason being able to know the ingredient list chronologically helps you understand what the majority of the formula is made up of. For example, that ingredient squalane, I like seeing it at the top of my ingredient list so I can ensure that there's a good percentage of that ingredient. If I see a product that claims to have a lot of glycerin but it's at the very bottom of the ingredient list, I'm not as inclined to get it when the company could easily make it to be one of the primary ingredients. Now on that note, here's what an ingredient list doesn't tell you. An ingredient list won't tell you the exact percentage of ingredients. Even though, yes, you can read them chronologically, we still don't know what the exact percentages are. Unless the brand discloses that, there's no way of knowing the concentration. And to be fair, most customers don't need to know the concentration. Some people believe that the more percentage of an ingredient in a product, the better the product is, but that's not always the case. For example, there's amazing ingredients like active exfoliants and retinols that perform best and safest at concentrations of 1%, 2%, or 5%. Those definitely won't be at the top of the ingredient list, but that doesn't mean that the ingredient list is bad or that the product isn't going to work. It definitely is. But of course, if you look at an ingredient list, you won't be able to know what specific percentages each of those ingredients are at. And while this may seem a little bit concerning, I wouldn't worry about it unless it comes to specific irritating or damaging ingredients. In that case, it can be really helpful to know what percentage those ingredients are at so that you're not overexposing your skin to any unnecessary irritants. For example, with any products I use, I like to ensure that the fragrance is less than 0.1%. If I find a product that does have fragrance, but I do find out from the brand that it is less than 0.1%, I'm usually okay with using the product. But for a lot of products that do have undisclosed fragrance, I'll typically avoid them because I don't know what the percentage is, and I don't like not being able to know that about a product. An ingredient list also does not tell you about the quality of the ingredients. While this may seem like a lot of information, trust, there is so much more information about each of these specific ingredients. Things like where the ingredient is from, how it's sourced, the quality of sourcing, the quality of the plant, if it's sustainable. Not every ingredient is equal. And an ingredient list won't be able to tell you about the premium quality or poor quality of an ingredient, which is why it's really important that you find brands that you trust who go above and beyond what the industry is doing in terms of sourcing quality and standards. And that's why it's good to invest in your skincare to ensure that you're getting the best quality ingredients possible. One of the reasons I love BIOSSANCE is because they're very transparent about where their ingredients are from. Squalane can be sourced unethically from sharks, and one of the reasons I was first attracted to BIOSSANCE is because of their transparency surrounding the process of extracting squalane from sugarcane. It's a sustainable sustainable process that doesn't harm any sharks, and seeing that level of transparency makes me trust the brand a lot more. Reading an ingredient list does not tell you the texture, the viscosity, or the consistency of a product. There is no way of knowing solely from reading an ingredient list if the product is going to be heavier or lighter. There are some ingredients that can be a little bit heavier than others, some ingredients better suited for dry skin or for oily skin, but you'll never be able to truly know what the texture, consistency, or viscosity of a formula is unless you try it. And even I in the past have made the mistake of judging a product's thickness just from reading an ingredient list, and that's not a good thing to do. The best way of knowing that is trying, but you can look for good ingredients suited for your specific skin type. So ingredients like glycerin will be great for oilier or combination skin, while ingredients like shea butter will be really beneficial for people with drier skin. So the overall lesson we can take away from this is that reading an ingredient list can be really helpful as a consumer to understand what specific products we want to use and what the products are made up of. But ingredient lists do not tell the whole story, and it's important to be open-minded and consider that there's a lot of other factors at play, which is why it's really important that we put our trust in high-quality, ethical, and sustainable brands who are doing better every day to make the best products possible. If you want to learn more about ingredient lists, feel free to watch the rest of the Clean Academy videos. Thank you so much, BIOSSANCE, for including me in this series. You can also watch my video about busting ingredient myths on my channel, youtube.com/Hyram. I'm so honored to be partnering with BIOSSANCE to spread some information about reading ingredient lists. And enjoy learning, everyone!